Hello, everybody. Okay, where is that energy? Come on. Hello, everybody. Bonjour. Thank you so much for the introduction. I'm Marit, Stiles, leader of Ontario's NDP, the official opposition here in the province of Ontario. Je suis Marit Stiles. Oui, merci. Je suis Marit Stiles, le chef de l'opposition MPD en Ontario. Thank you. First of all, I don't want to forget to do this to thank the ROMA organizers, yes, and also all of you. The mayors, councillors, aldermen, reeves, trustees, and the staff of our local governments. I always say this, I mean it, there is no level of government that is closer to the people of this province. And at times like now, with people really struggling, that's no easy thing to take on. So really, truly, I am so grateful for all you do and all your efforts to make our communities stronger, healthier places for Ontarians. So give yourselves a round of applause. And look, I made a decision today to change up what I was wearing so I could also bring some awareness to a really important effort by the group Women of Ontario Say No. These folks here, these folks are working tirelessly to ensure that everyone who is working in or elected to municipal office is safe and protected from violence or harassment. I 100% support their call for action and accountability now. And you know, I want to say as well, thank you to AMO, to ROMA, to everybody out there who I know has been working on these issues for years too. Thank you for your advocacy. It is great to be back here with all of you today. This conference was actually one of my first public events after, well, even actually before I think I had become officially the NDP leader about a year ago. And I remember I spoke about how all of you in this room are bearers of knowledge, bringers of solutions to what Ontarians really need to make their lives better. And as I stand here today, I'm looking around the room and I'm thinking of the hundreds of conversations we have had since then, of the many meetings at ROMA, at AMO, at FONAM, at NOMA, and more and more and more in town halls, in hotel boardrooms, in the Timmies, in union halls, and in libraries. And I'm thinking of the solid proposals, the energy and creativity and effort that you have brought each time. And here we are a year later, and well, Ontario is going through a period of even more profound uncertainty. Rent, mortgages, grocery and utility bills have all moved in one direction, and that's up. Wages have fallen short, and the services that we rely on are not keeping up with the growing need. Students, seniors, newcomers, and people with full-time jobs, frankly, are accessing food banks, many for the first time ever. Parents are going hungry to make sure their kids have enough to eat. Others are working 3-4 part-time jobs and they still don't get enough, have enough to get by. And then there's too many Ontarians who are, of course, living in what we call legislated poverty with those outrageously low social assistance and ODSP rates. And housing. Housing in absolutely every corner of this province is further and further out of reach for all but the very wealthiest. And I've been to small municipalities, rural communities where you are seeing encampments appear for the first time and where they're even becoming fixtures. These are not just signs that people are hurting, and they are, but these are symptoms of a government that has failed to take on the big problems, that has failed to deliver solutions that are so desperately needed. You know, I hear the Conservative ministers and the Premier here and just about every day in the legislature, frankly, telling Ontarians, things are just great, best ever. And I think, are you kidding me? What planet are they living on? Did I wake up in the twilight zone? I mean, you know what? Something's got to give. During my speech last year, and I was looking back at it, I talked about how this government was using the housing crisis as an excuse to carve up the Greenbelt. And we knew back then we We were pretty sure it was to make some of those insider land speculators richer. Anybody remember that? Yeah. I promised you that we were going to get them to back down. And my NDP caucus colleagues, I know they're sitting right out here, give a wave. Yeah, we hit the road all across Ontario. We had meetings in Flamborough and Whitevale, in Lincoln and Picton, up to North Bay and New Liskeard. We went to the Integrity Commissioner, we demanded investigations, we went to the Auditor General, and we brought the voices of Ontarians into the chamber at Queen's Park, and day after day after day, we demanded answers, we demanded accountability, transparency, and honesty, and by God, together with you, with First Nations, with climate activists, with farmers, we did it. We forced this government to reverse course, and we, all of us, we saved our greenbelt. Yeah. But the thing is, when I look back over the last year, I do see that flip-flop, well, all of those flip-flops as victories. Victories for good people who believe in honesty in government and accountability. But what riles me is that it should never have come to that, right? The waste of time, of resources. This government flip-flopped on nearly every major policy decision in 2023. But the truth is that left many of you in chaos, and I'm hearing that today in all of our delegations, scrambling to keep up with everything that they've been throwing at you. And sure, it was a defining moment, but not because we were breaking ground on fresh solutions for the people of Ontario. No, but because the curtain dropped and the emperor had no clothes. It became abundantly clear that the Conservatives do not have a plan to build the housing we so desperately need, and that has cost all of us, and it has cost all of you. Just last week, we learned that housing starts in Ontario are going down and not up. We have to reverse that trend. We have to make sure that everyone has a safe, adequate, and affordable place to call home. And I'm going to tell you, the good news is we New Democrats, we've been working on solutions. We have a multi-pronged plan to get us there. And it starts with actually implementing the common sense solutions. I'm taking back common sense, by the way. The common sense solutions that many of you in this room have been calling for. I haven't forgotten the proposals that many of you brought forward in this place just last year. Speeding up building approvals, updating planning rules to legalize and accelerate construction of more housing options, building on provincial land. Options that meet the needs of today's Ontario, all in places where people actually want to live. But we all know that the market alone cannot and will not deliver enough housing for everyone who needs a home. And that's why New Democrats, we're going to work with all of you to get the provincial government back in the business of building homes. Back to where we were, you'll recall, in the mid-90s, before the federal and provincial governments stopped doing it. We're going to build 250,000 affordable, public, and non-market homes over the next decade, the kind of housing that we used to build in this province and that we ought to build once more again. And whether it's market housing or affordable housing, we'll build it all in vibrant, sustainable, and inclusive communities close to quality public services. Which brings me to the theme of this year's conference, Closer to Home. I want to say this theme really resonates with me. Like many of you, I grew up in a rural community on a small family farm in an outport. And people in my home community in Newfoundland, they relied on the services that were close to our home. Our local schools, our community libraries, the local arena. Places where neighbors came together and received the services they needed, built on a sense of belonging, where they organized to save local industry or attract investment. This is the experience that informs my vision as I run to be Ontario's Premier in 2026. a vision of stronger, more caring communities right across this beautiful province, where the next generation of farmers are growing the food to feed our growing province. Thank you, by the way, to the Ontario Federation of Agriculture for their incredible advocacy here. And where families don't have to worry so much about making their next mortgage payment. Stronger, more caring communities where people receive the mental health and addiction supports they need when they need it. Quality community schools in good repair with school buses that transport that precious cargo, and an education that gives all our young people the best shot at a good life. Better digital infrastructure so that people can participate in the future of the economy, whether they live in Amherstburg or St. Thomas, Manitoulin, or Renfrew. Communities with good jobs, better wages, more opportunities, and yes, public health care, public schools, and public services to be proud of that are there when and where people need them. Yeah. Now, I want to talk about healthcare for a minute. And before I do that, I really do want to thank Dr. Savage and ROMA for the, 22 recommendations that you released today. What an extraordinary report. I was going through it over lunch. And, I think, we all know that residents in rural and northern communities do not have equitable access to healthcare. That's without question. You are the subject experts. You deserve a government that's going to be a true partner in addressing those solutions. So thank you so much for that hard work. Long wait times, closed emergency rooms, a vacuum of family doctors. Ontario's Conservative government has taken liberal hallway medicine and made it our new norm. And they're pushing our system to the point of collapse. I like to say we had hallway healthcare and now we have garage healthcare, right? When I was in northeastern Ontario just before the holidays, I came back just fuming because I cannot tell you how many local hospitals, really crucial to those communities, as you know, and also, by the way, crucial to the resource sector workers across the region, were telling me they weren't sure that they could make payroll because they are hemorrhaging healthcare dollars, paying private nursing agencies so much. And it's not just in the north, and thank you for raising this. I think almost every single delegation I've heard from so far today has raised this issue. It's happening across the entire province. We have seen emergency rooms closing overnight, sometimes for days at a time, in communities from Chesley to Carleton Place. Then others, like the emergency room in Minden, closed permanently. Residents there now traveling much farther afield to access emergency care, and the outrage from the community is falling on deaf ears. The Auditor General even went so far just a month ago to say that the government has no plan to deal with the staffing issues, to avoid emergency room closures, not a strategy, not a plan. Let that sink in. How can anyone in government with that power not wake up every single day saying, today I am going to do everything possible to protect Ontario lives, to make sure that not one parent, and many of us have been there, has to show up at a closed emergency room with a sick kid. And what's gutting is that they are choosing instead to divert those precious public health dollars, that energy and those resources into privatized clinics that are costing so much more and will never help Ontarians in small towns and rural communities and Northern Ontario, not one bit. Without a plan to invest those dollars into public hospitals, into expanding nurse practitioner-led clinics, into establishing nurse-patient ratios like they're doing in British Columbia, into addressing housing in communities where you need to provide a place for nurses and other healthcare workers to live and stay. Without a real ambitious plan, it's only going to get worse, and what happened in Minden will happen to other communities right across the province. And that's why I'm challenging the Premier and his government to reverse course one more time. One more flip-flop, people. Take action today to reduce wait times and make sure everyone gets the care they need when and where they need it. And speaking of solutions, we have some simple ones. I was just in the north, as I said, and nearly every day we see highways 11 and 17 closed due to collisions, tragedies. 5 deaths in the last month. People are afraid to drive to work or drop their kids off at school. And by the way, a lot of the buses aren't coming, so that's increasingly an issue, the school buses. This government is nowhere to be found on this. Let's improve standards for northern highways and for roads all across this province, right? And let's pass Chad's Law to actually make it illegal to pass a vehicle on double solid yellow lines. And by the way, while we're at it, let's deliver that Northern University for Franco-Ontarians by Franco-Ontarians close to home. Let's finally deliver a new deal for municipalities with increased funding that's stable, predictable, adequate for essential municipal services and infrastructure. We cannot and we must not keep downloading service after service and slashing your revenues. Look, if it's good enough for Toronto, right? Make our municipalities whole. That's how you build stronger, more caring communities. With smart solutions that meet the moment and make life better and more affordable for the people of this province. Sometimes what's facing us seems daunting and even insurmountable. And I do want to say, I feel that frustration this year, acutely. I feel the frustration when you come to meet with us in the NDP caucus. I feel that frustration coming out of some of those meetings you're having. And it really can feel, like I said, just insurmountable. But I want you to know that's not how I see it. Because I actually believe in the power of government to make life easier for people and to lay the groundwork to create opportunities for people, to nurture our rural communities, and to help everyone achieve their fullest potential. It's all doable. It's just a matter of making different choices and having the political will and, frankly, the courage to get it done. And I started here by saying that the future of this province feels a little uncertain. But here's the thing. This is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to change the direction of this province for the better. And I just want to say, I feel that in everything that you're here talking about. You are here, you have done the work, sometimes for years. You are coming here with the solutions. You are serving it up. Ontario is one of the wealthiest and most prosperous places on the planet. But that prosperity is not trickling down to everyone. It is being confined and restricted to those at the very top, and it is hurting so many of us. The good news is Ontario is only 2 and a bit years away from making history. Ontarians are hungry for change. I feel it out there, and they are desperate for a brighter future. They need a government that's going to work for them. Everywhere I go, I hear this. And many of you have been there right alongside me, and you hear it too. People know a better future is possible, but for decades, they have seen things get worse, not better. But I believe more and more they know that the NDP is ready to deliver the solutions to address the challenges they face. We have a team of extraordinary MPPs, experienced, driven to do good things. And can I just say, I do want to give a special shout out today to Lise Vaugeois, one of our MPPs from Northwestern Ontario, Lise, because she has been sounding the alarm along with the mayors of Terrace Bay and Schreiber about the importance of moving urgently to save that pulp mill in Terrace Bay. And when you see that kind of drive, somebody who's willing to drop everything and get the work done and, got me up there when she needed to. Like, that is what we need. And that is what every single community in this province deserves. An advocate like that, somebody who's batting for them, right? MPPs who are ready with our doors open to each and every one of you. I know this is all possible. My vision for Ontario is one of honesty, leadership, collaboration, and ambition. I am ready to make it happen. I can't wait to join hands with all of you to make it a reality. And I want to thank you so much for the opportunity to address you today. Merci, miigwech. Have a great afternoon.